Most theories in economics and business, and many policy programs, take managers and owners' willingness to expand their firms for granted. However, in the eyes of small firm owner-managers, growth can be associated with both positive and negative changes. There are a number of factors that encourage people to go into business for themselves in the first place, or to enjoy the role as small firm owner-managers. These can all be either positively or negatively affected by growth. Together with international colleagues, Professor Per Davidsson considered how expected outcomes of growth affect small firm owner-managers' willingness to expand their firms and how those expectations could be influenced. 3 large phone survey studies were conducted. Each study took in several hundred private businesses with less than 49 employees and asked respondents to imagine doubling the size of their firm, while considering how this would affect the 8 critical growth consequences identified by the literature. These include the owner's own workload. Would they have to work less or more? Work tasks. Would they be able to concentrate more or less on the work task they like best? Owner income from the business. Would they make more money or not if the firm doubled in size? Sense of independence in relation to important customers, suppliers, or sources of finance. Would this improve or deteriorate? Supervisory control. Would it be easier or harder to keep track of everything the firm was doing? Employee well-being. Would the larger firm be a worse or better place to work? And the firm's vulnerability to crisis. Would this get better or worsen from doubling the size of the firm? Service quality. Would it become easier or harder to keep the firm's product or service quality? The results show that for all 8 factors, the whole range of expectations from strongly negative to strongly positive exist among small firm owner-managers. Looking at individual response profiles, the growth dilemma is clear, as almost all owner-managers expected both positive and negative consequences. The consequence associated with the most positive expectations was not surprisingly income-related, whilst the strongest negative views occurred for firm vulnerability. Furthermore, a large proportion of owner-managers believe it would be harder for their firm to survive a crisis if it were twice as large. All 8 factors were of some importance for overall growth willingness. Overall, the consequence identified as being of most importance was employee well-being, which was found to work as a growth deterrent rather than a motivator. The patterns identified in the data were also found to be stable across all 3 separate studies, as well as across subgroups of firm by industry, size class, and firm age. Despite directly comparable Australian data not existing, current studies show the vast majority of Australian business founders prefer a small and manageable size to as much growth as possible, contradicting the general belief that they are normally willing to expand their firm. There are also American and Japanese studies that come to the same conclusions, leading to the belief that the conclusions of the research presented here are relevant for present-day Australian firms. Realising that growth can be a dilemma for small firm owner-managers, policymakers can either focus on the subgroup of firm owners who already have a strong preference for growth, or align measures with the true motivations of firm founders. A greater emphasis on profitability, for example, would make the push for growth more indirect. Other research suggests that small firm growth is often mainly based on retained earnings, and that sound, sustainable growth is achieved by firms that first show high profitability. Business founders should realise that growth normally makes the firm less vulnerable during a crisis and not more. Other research suggests the concern for employee well-being is more valid. This and other possible negative consequences of growth concerns can be managed or mitigated through changes or additions to the firm's structure and systems. Some managers successfully retain the highly motivating, family-like character of the small firm by creating semi-autonomous divisions or daughter companies within a somewhat looser corporate identity. Founders can also create roles which allow them to retain the ultimate power of last resort, whilst leaving various operational responsibilities to employees who are in fact better equipped to realise the full potential of the firm in those areas.